Are you ready? Hi, boys and girls. I was trying to see the image in this magic eye book. It's so hard for me. I thought maybe a magnifying glass would help, but it sure didn't help me at all. Today on Science Isn't Scary, we are going to talk about a body part that all of us really like. It's our eye. Can you imagine, boys and girls, and there are people like this whose eyes don't work and they're blind. But today I'm going to give you a small demonstration on how our eyes work. In fact, our eyes are very complex. I have a diagram here, and it's a very simple diagram, but this is our eye. If you'll notice, the green part here is the iris. Now, the iris isn't always green. Some people have brown eyes or blue eyes or hazel eyes, but the colored part of our eye is called the iris. Now you'll notice here where these two muscles don't touch each other, here behind the iris, there is a hole. We actually have a hole in our iris, and it's called the pupil. That black dot that's in the middle of your eye, boys and girls, it can get bigger or smaller depending on the amount of light that is in the room. It's actually a hole that lets the light come through into the iris. Into the lens. Okay, so this is our lens that helps us be able to actually see what we're looking at. Now, as you go back to the eye, this back part here is called the retina. If you can think of that as like the movie screen, it's what the picture or the light that's coming in through your iris through your lens comes back here to the retina, and then that image is transferred into like different electric pulses that go down through the optic nerve and up to our brain, and our brain then recognizes what we see. Did you know that it only takes 13 milliseconds for your brain to be able to recognize what you see? Right now, as I look around, I see books and papers and chairs and carpets and videos, and I see oranges and yellows and greens and blues. I see so much, and my brain was able to identify all that very quickly. That's thanks to the optic nerve. All right, now if you come back to the beginning, the front part of our eye, this orange section right here is called the cornea, and it is a light film, very thin film that's on top of our iris that helps protect us from dust and other things, as well as our eyelid and eyelashes. They help protect our eyes too. Well, I see the sun is coming out, and that's a perfect time for me to show you my little demonstration. Here I have a teeny tiny little demonstration of an eye. Okay, and inside I have the lens, and without the lens, really just that hole, it's not going to be able to see anything. You need a lens inside so that you can see well. I have just a plain white piece of paper, and we're going to pretend that that's our retina. And if I take my little eye and I focus it here with that sunlight, you can see it's fuzzy. Oh, and look, now it gets clear. Do you see the windows that are on top of our library? Do you see the blue sky? Isn't that cool? This little lens is letting the light in, and it's showing the picture on the back of your eye, which is called the retina. Pretty cool, isn't it? I love it. It's so fascinating. Now, boys and girls, there are artists out there who want to try to trick our brain. They want it to draw things that our brain doesn't recognize. Maybe they have a lot of colors on one page and it makes it look like the object is moving. Or maybe there's two animals put together. If you look at it one way, it's something else. And if you look at it another way, it's something else altogether. I have some optical illusions to show you today. Optical is just a big fancy word for your eye. So these are some illusions that our eye sees, and our brain can't really quite make sense of it. Now the first couple ones I want to show you actually look like they're moving. Of course, it's just a picture. It's an artist's design, and it's not really moving. Take a look at this bicycle. This bicycle is a very famous optical illusion. If you stare at that middle dot on those wheels long enough, it should start to move for you. Of course, it's not really moving, but your brain is so confused by all those patterned colors that it's going to start to look like it moves. Same thing here with this picture. This is a Ferris wheel. Again, if you stare at that middle dot, those spokes on that Ferris wheel are going to start to move. Can you see it? This next one drives me crazy. Take a look at that. The longer you look at it, those outside bands of colors just sort of vibrate, move in and out. These are optical illusions. Our brain is not really being able to figure out what is going on. Now, a different type of optical illusion is where there's two pictures in one. Take a look at this and what do you see? I hope right away you see the face. Okay, the black and then the white opposite of the black should create a face. And now if you look at just the black itself, you should see a silhouette of a man playing a musical instrument. Did you see both images? Pretty cool, huh? This next one is another very famous art design where the prongs on this design sometimes look like they're touching the base, and sometimes they're not touching the base. I mean, if you take your finger and go along the edge, that one's touching the base. Well, in this one, it's not, but what about that one? It looks like it should go there, and that one is just so confusing. Your brain can't figure it out. The next one is fun, boys and girls. How many legs does an elephant have? Well, I sure hope you said 4, but look at this elephant. How many legs do you see? Most people see 5 or 6 or maybe even 7. How many do you see on that elephant? The next one, hopefully you can see an image right away. I hope you see the vase. Okay, that's the black. But if you look at the negative space around that, the white space, you should be able to see 2 faces sort of in silhouette talking to each other. Do you see it? I hope so. The next kind of optical illusions have to do with animals. Take a look at this photo. Do you guys see an animal? Right away you should see the horse. Doesn't the horse look like his head is sticking out of the stall? But what if we turn it? Now what do you see, boys and girls? I hope you say that you see a frog sitting on like a lily pad in a lake. Here's another animal that's 2 animals in one. Right away, I see the seal. Because here's his flippers, here's his 2 little eyes and his whiskers. Do you see the seal laying on its belly? But now if you take your eyes away from it and look at it again, you would notice that these are ears, okay, and this is the eye of a horse. Can you see both images? It's pretty cool. What about this little guy? Now the black dot is the eye. Now if you look to the right or to the left, this animal is different things. If you have the eye looking toward the left, you should see a little duck, where this is his beak. But if he's looking to the right, these are his ears, and it's a little rabbit all curled up. Pretty cool, huh? All right, the next one is an optical illusion where things do not appear to be the same size, but they really are. Take a look at those 3 SUVs. Doesn't this one appear bigger than the rest? But if you take the ruler and you go from the front of the car to the back, it's about 1.5 inches. This one is 1.5 inches, and so is this one. Okay, the way it's drawn makes us believe that this one is bigger than the rest. What about the tall soldiers? What do you think about them? Which one is the biggest? Of course, now that I just showed you the car one, you probably know the answer, right? They're all actually the same. There's about 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches. But these lines trick our eyes into thinking that one is bigger than the other. We're almost done. This one is a crazy line trick. If you take a look at those lines, don't they look like they're all going at sort of a diagonal? But if you use your ruler, look, that line is straight across, that line is straight across, and you can just keep going down. They are actually all straight lines. Fascinating, huh? The way our brain can be tricked. I'm going to leave you with this last one. This last picture, is it a courtyard or like a terrace? Are the people hanging upside down? Are we looking at the bottom of something? Or are we looking at the surface of something? It's a little confusing. The way it's drawn, our brain can't really quite figure it out. All right, boys and girls, I hope you've enjoyed these optical illusions. If you want to come to the library, we have a book here with hundreds of optical illusions in them. Okay, plus we have these magic eye books that are supposed to show you a picture if you stare at it long enough. And like I said before, I never was able to see it. Maybe this will help me. I don't think so, though. All right, boys and girls, I hope you understand that the eye is an important part of our body, and it works together with our brain to help you recognize the things that are in our world. Well, I'm Miss Lisa, and this has been another episode of Science Isn't Scary. Come see me again next Tuesday for another science concept.